So this lesson is on factoring. And again, most of it you're just going to do on your calculator. So let's just refresh our brains on what we're going to do. You go to y equals. We're going to clear out if there's anything typed in. We're going to type in our question, 6x to the third minus 4x squared minus 16x. We're going to hit graph, see what that looks like. Okay, this is what I want my answer to look like. So, there's no point in typing in A. I'm not going to type in A. Let's type in B though. Let's type in 2x and then 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Let's graph that one. So it looks like it's the exact same graph. So a lot of you are going to put B. But this is a trick question because it says factor it completely. Factored completely is when it's going to have two of these parentheses. So it's actually not going to be B. It's either going to be C or D. So let's look at C. C says 2x and then 3x plus 4 and x minus 2. Let's graph that one. And that's the one that looks exactly like that. So be careful. If it says factor completely, you want to pick the one that has two parentheses. So in this case, the answer would be C. All right, this one, again, is another factoring completely. You would just, there's no trick here. You would go to y equals, type that in. So you should be able to do that. Same thing here. Same thing here. All right, this one, let's do this one. Because it has an x and a y, so you can't do this in your calculator because they're two different variables. This is called a difference of squares. Okay, so here's how this works. You're going to do two parentheses. And you're going to do the square root of 16. Now, if you forgot how to do square root, let me remind you. You press second, and then you push this x squared button. So the square root of 16 is 4. So I'm going to put a 4 and a 4. This x squared, it means there's two x's, so I'm going to split them up. I'm going to put one x here, I'm going to put one x here. If we're doing a difference of squares, one is plus and one is a minus. Square root of 25, if you did it in your calculator, would be 5, so I'm going to put 5 and 5. And again, it's a y squared, so I'm going to split it up into a y and a y. And that's my answer. Now, again, one will be plus and one will be minus. So the answer is actually A. They just did it the other way. They put the minus first and the plus second. It doesn't matter which one goes first. Just know one's plus and one's minus. So let's do another one like this. This one has a GCF. You want to find the number that will go into 12 and 27, and that's going to be 3. Okay, so 3 will go into both of them. So my first step is divide both of them by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Bring down your x squared. 27 divided by 3 is 9. Bring down your y squared. So now we can do square roots of both of these. The square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to put that in both parentheses. Split up your x squared into an x and an x. Your signs are plus and minus. The square root of 9 is 3, so that goes in both of them, and split up your y squared into a y and a y. All right, I would write this down in your notes. If you're going to do a difference of squares, it has to be subtraction. So like this problem has a subtraction, this one has an addition. That means you can factor this one, and you cannot factor this one. So let's do the difference of squares for this first one. Split up your x squared into an x and an x. Your signs are going to be a plus and a minus, and the square root of 100 is 10. Now this one has a plus sign, which means it is not factorable. So you could either see it written not factorable, or you could also see it written as prime. Both of those mean that you cannot factor it. So either way you see that answer written, if it's a plus sign, that means you cannot factor it. So look at this last example. Hopefully you can just look at it and see you don't need to do any work. It's a plus sign, which means it is not factorable or prime. So go try this worksheet. But again, remember, most of these you're going to type in your calculator. They're going to look like these problems. And if there's only one variable, type it in your calculator.